And I'm going to share my screen. Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us. I believe this is our fourth virtual clinic that we've had for the OEA this year. We put them on Monday nights because as equestrians, Mondays tend to be a bit more of a quieter evening for us. And tonight we are going to be learning a little bit more about the emotional freedom technique, or aka tapping, with Margie Godson. And I think a lot of people know Margie Godson on the phone, and hopefully, I'm just going to reverse off her bio. But if anybody knows Margaret and Meridian, we've all gone to do some short courses. We used to have the Wednesday night schooling nights at Meridian. And of course, she's ridden and competed with horses since 6, and she's a level pony club member as well. And she completed her A level and then received a scholarship from the Canadian Pony Club, completed her horse masters and senior instructors at Potomac Horse Center, and she's been coaching and training since then. Since 1978 to 2020, she operated Meridian Equestrian, and she developed many horse and rider combinations. However, one thing left me wonder, with all this preparation and training programs, that some riders would still self-sabotage them. So it's not a lack of preparation or knowledge. There was something else happening. Margaret suffered a personal health crisis in 2006, and she was introduced to energy medicine, which became to our benefit tonight as well. So she's been studying chakra healing, emotional freedom techniques, and matrix re-imprinting, and she became an EFT practitioner in 2012. Today, she still continues to expand her knowledge, and she helps many riders overcome their nervous anxiety, negative self-talk, and limiting beliefs. And she's spending a lot of her time, and she's very delighted to focus the change on her practice into more healing with us. So again, thank you very much, Margaret, for joining us. And as I said, we're excited to have you. So if you want to go ahead, just tell me when to change the slides.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the lovely introduction, Kathleen. I think we can jump right in. We can go to the origin slide. Okay. I'm not going to read this whole page. I'm just going to give you sort of the Coles Notes version of it. But our body has it looks like a roadmap for electrical current that runs all over our body. And these are called meridians. And each meridian is grounded or based on an organ in our body. So for example, there's the lung meridian, there's the heart meridian, there's the stomach meridian. And these electrical currents run up and down the length of our body from our toes to the top of our head. So this is what Chinese acupuncture is based on, because what they do is they put the needles, the acupuncture needles, in on a specific point in each meridian. So what happens to these meridians is the current, when we're in a healthy state, flows and is adjustable and permeates our whole body. When we become sick, or when we become traumatized and we have poor memories or bad memories, the primitive brain starts to store energy along these current lines in your body and in the tissues in your body. And when you get too much energy building up in an area, then you get what is called a blockage. So the current doesn't flow. What happens when you get a blockage is that it affects that area in your body. It decreases your circulation. The cells don't multiply properly. They don't reproduce properly. And we start to show symptoms of disease. Disease is dis-ease. So it's dis-ease in the body. The current is not flowing anymore. So what they noticed was that when they tapped on acupuncture points, the same as sticking in the needles, when they were talking to people that had been severely traumatized, they discovered that they got much better results. And these experiments were conducted by two people, by Gary Craig and by Dawson Church. And they were initially using Vietnam vets. So people that had been in highly traumatic situations. They were trying to resolve their post-traumatic stress. They were trying to reintroduce them back into society. And they came up with what we currently know as EFT. EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques, has been around for about 20 years. It kind of hit mainstream sort of around 2012, 2015. Tapping became very commonly known. And since then, there have been all kinds of scientific experiments that they've been doing to prove that EFT works. And there is a significant amount of scientific data out there now to back up the process of EFT, and that it's not just a woo-woo thing or positive thinking. It actually has, you know, traceable results in the body and traceable reactions. So that's how we have modern EFT. And modern EFT has changed from when I started in 2006, okay, to now, has changed quite a bit. And there have been many different offshoots from that. And one of those is matrix re-imprinting. So let's go ahead to the video now of Gary Craig. Gary Craig is one of the founders of EFT. So we have a quick little video of Gary. To get past the commercials.
Yeah, sorry about that. I thought I had that queued up past the commercials. Can you hear it?
Not yet.
Can you hear it?
No.
Okay, let me monkey with that again. Forgot to click that button.
Needing a doctor.
You should hear it now.
I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
They cannot find any.
Can we make it a little louder?
My body.
I had over 80 allergies and I was allergic to the world, basically. I am not allergic to anything. I can anything I want to.
Diabetes, post-traumatic stress disorder.
There we go.
EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it's an emotional version of acupuncture, except we don't use needles. Instead, we address emotional issues. The emotional contributor to disease and ailments and physical things is far greater than the emphasis that's been given to it to date. All of us know intuitively that if we're carrying around angers and griefs and guilts and traumas, it shows up physically. If somebody is really angry, their stomach is tight, maybe the veins down out of their neck, their blood pressure goes up. Emotions cause physical things. Well, you keep that body a long period of time, now you're looking at diseases.
You know, in my own case, I got tired of giving medications which would just treat the symptoms and didn't really address what I thought was the underlying problem.
EFT, on the other hand, zeroes right in on it, and I think that's why we get results where nothing else will.
It's possible to clear emotional issues at a deep enough level that physical healing results.
Acupuncture relies on the fact that there are subtle energies that run throughout the body called meridians. If they're not flowing well, the body's health does not do well. And what I found was something just very stunning. If we stimulate these meridians, tapping on them with our fingertips, it tends to balance things out, and people that would have an intense emotional issue, it would just fade. Sometimes it would happen in minutes. Once you start taking care of these emotional issues and doing it correctly and really resolving them, physical things start to subside as well.
Immediately, I could control my pain levels. My migraine was gone in 10 minutes.
I don't have diabetes anymore. I don't have to check my blood anymore. I gave my blood meter to my sister, whose cat has diabetes because he's overweight.
What we've really done is taken a very ancient, very well-established process, the ancient Chinese way of going about healing. We've dusted it off, and we've added an innovation or two, and this is the new forefront to me. We're on the ground floor of this new healing high-rise.
When I was 10 years old, I fell down a 25-foot hay chute. I landed in a sitting position on a concrete landing, compressing my spine. I underwent my first back operation in 1971, a second one in 1972, a third one in 1979, a fourth one in 1984, a fifth one in 1992, and a sixth in 2002. With each surgery, the pain just got worse. I lived in pain my entire life. I lived on Tylenol with codeine 4. I took them like candy. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which was another devastating blow, and my response to that was, God, how much can I take? I was totally wheelchair bound for 5 years. EFT brought me out of the wheelchair, put me on arm crutches, which my doctor said would never happen. Went from arm crutches to giving up Social Security disability and returning to work. I'm 54 and I'm doing jumping jacks now.
I'm not saying by that we cure everything in a minute or two and in a session or two and so on, and some things take a lot longer than others, but we get astonishing results often.
So what we're going to do today is take a finger prick of blood from a few different people. We're going to take a look at it under a dark field microscope and actually look at what their live blood looks like. A person that's healthy, their live blood will look like a clean flowing river, and a sick person, clumping in just a murky swamp. Of those 6 people, 3 had blood picture that looked like there's some health issues that should be addressed. So we had those 3 people go through about 5 minutes of EFT.
This anger,
All this resentment.
We drew their blood again, looked at it, and saw just total different blood pictures. No sign of clumping. I was speechless. When I could finally think again, I thought, I'm going to go home and just take my certificates, my degrees that took me years to get, and just tear them up and just, let's learn about this EFT. Normally, as a nutritionist, I would have put you on 2 or 3 months of mineral supplementation, but EFT, 5 minutes.
people on the outside, they look at some of the things we do as miracles, and I'm not really a miracle worker at all, or, you know, it's just the body will tend to heal itself if its energies are allowed to flow. The biggest thing that blocks that flow of energy is how emotional issues and past traumas are held in the body.
So we're getting to the core. That's why you can use it for everything.
Addiction issues,
Shame issues, vision issues, chronic fatigue, fear of flying,
Atrial fibrillation,
cravings,
diabetes, diverticulitis,
post-traumatic stress disorder,
Abundant.
public speaking, insomnia, performing in any capacity.
For the first time, I can probably say I truly and genuinely like myself, love myself, have acceptance.
People ask me what kind of antidepressants I'm on, and I say EFT. You know.
I do believe anything is possible now because I've seen it. One that was really fun to do was the vision experiment I did. 75% had an improvement in their vision. I keep getting emails from people, by the way, Carol, you know, I'm not using my glasses to look at the piano music anymore.
EFT is the best thing I found, hands down.
One of the great things about EFT is it's easy to learn by anyone.
I thought, well, I don't know if I believe this, but what if I just suspended my disbelief?
Well, the EFT tutorial is free on our website because I want the world to know how to do it. Do you want more than that?
Okay. Okay. So, can everybody hear me?
I can.
Yes? No?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, just to give you an idea what you can use EFT for in our world. Okay. So, let's say you have a fear of forgetting your dressage test. Let's say you had a really bad jumping lesson and it really didn't go well and your confidence is shattered. You've been trying really hard to get your body to cooperate. For example, you know, your right leg and your left leg just don't coordinate really well. One is really strong and one is really braced. And while your body communicates well with one leg, it doesn't communicate well with the other. That is a tappable issue. If you have a traumatic event, like you have a fall or you see somebody fall and you hold that fear in your body, you can tap on releasing that fear because it's not really even your energy, but you've taken it on. You can also tap on the positive. You can also tap on believing that you're going to have a positive experience. It isn't always about taking stuff away. After you take stuff away, you have to put the positive back in. So it's not just the negative. So if you want to have a positive experience, you can tap on that energy. You can put that energy in your body. And as you know, the higher your energy is, the better quality your energy is, the more likely you are to manifest what you want. So these are all examples of how we can use EFT in the equestrian field. Many high-level sports coaches now are using EFT for their students to overcome their limiting beliefs, such as I'm not good enough, or I'm not ready, or I need to learn more. So it's a common practice now. It's a very useful tool for anybody at any stage in their riding career to have. And that's what we hope to do this evening, is introduce you to this tool so that you can put it in your toolbox. So where do we get started? We get started with an EFT practice by keeping everybody safe. So when you're tapping for yourself or by yourself, you want to make sure that you're in a quiet environment, that you're not going to be disturbed, that you're well hydrated, okay? And I'm just going to expand upon that a little bit. Our body is mostly water. And if we are dehydrated or severely dehydrated, then the energy in the meridians doesn't flow properly and your brain doesn't function at 100% either. So it's very important to be hydrated before your practice. You also might want to have a warm blanket. You might want to have Kleenex tissues if it's a very, emotional thing that you want to tap on. So, next slide, please. So, when we have an emotion is a thought plus energy. So we can have a thought, but we don't necessarily have to attach any energy to it. But once we attach energy to a thought, then that becomes an emotion. So examples of emotions are joy, sadness, anger, frustration. The lower your vibrational level comes by the blockages decreasing the flow in your body, the less healthy you become. And once your brain has established a neurological pathway to an issue, anything that even vaguely resembles that issue, your brain jumps to that neurological pathway and you start to experience that situation over again. So what we want to do with EFT is we want to dissolve the synapses between the neurons. So we remove the superhighways. So we take the superhighway and it becomes a basic highway. And then it becomes a road. And then it becomes a country road. And then it becomes a path. And then it dissolves. So as you tap over time, you train your brain, okay, or you release the neurological pathway from your brain so that you don't suffer the same traumatic incident over and over and over again. So what you want to do is you want to sit quietly with yourself and you want to think about what it is that you want to tap on. And the more specific you can be about what you want to tap on, the better. So you don't want to address several issues at once. You might have a complex issue that has several different aspects to it. You only want to deal with one aspect at a time. So aspects are the physical symptoms in your body. Always with EFT, we always follow the physical symptoms in our body. Why do we do this? We do this because the body never lies. The feelings in the body are the truth. Your mind can make up all kinds of statements and all kinds of thoughts. Some of them might be yours, some of them that you have learned through growing up, through your society, through your parental beliefs. You can have all kinds of thoughts, but your body never lies. So when you are thinking about what it is you want to tap on, you want to think about the issue, and then you want to check in with your body and feel, as it was demonstrated in the video, if you got anger, where is the anger in your body? Is it in your neck? Is it in your shoulders? Is it in your lower back? Is it in your knees? It can be anywhere in your body. Your primitive brain, your brainstem, your limbic brain, okay, can store it anywhere in the body. So you want to feel. If you have a problem with feeling it in your body, some people are so disconnected from their body, they don't really realize that their body has feelings. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Okay, just the general tapping procedure will get the energy flowing in your body and it will help. And then eventually you will start to develop some body awareness. So don't panic if you don't feel anything, because the tapping procedure will work. It just works faster if you're focused on a specific feeling in your body. Okay, so can we have the next slide, please? Once we get into this specific feeling and we've located it in our body, we come up with a setup statement. So this setup statement is defining the energy and the thought that we want to work on. And when we create this statement, we start off And the statement goes, even though I have. And then, I don't know, Kathleen, can you get the pictures out of the writing?
Sorry, the pictures out of the writing?
Because you got the column with the people's pictures and it's overlaying the text. Never mind, don't worry about it. Okay, so we say, even though I have, and you want in your description to include your thought. Okay, so even though I'm really afraid I'm going to forget my dressage test, and this gives me a really severe headache, and I have butterflies in my stomach. So that's how we fill in the blank. We fill it in with the thought and the feeling in our body. And then there's this little end to the statement that I deeply and completely accept myself. Some people say I deeply and completely love myself, but some people are not at that point where they can love themselves or they can accept themselves. What you can do, if that's the case, you can say, I am where I am, and that's where I am. Or I accept that's where I am. So that's how you deal with, you know, if you're not ready to completely love and accept yourself or completely accept this problem, you can just say, I am where I am. Okay. All right. Can we go to the next frame, please? So we have our description, and our description might be a small paragraph. We want to have a reminder statement because when we go through the tapping protocol, we don't want to repeat this big long paragraph or this run-on sentence that we have. So we shorten that up into the reminder statement. So we take the most powerful words out of our setup statement, and that becomes our reminder phrase. So, for example, I've got, even though my head aches and my shoulders get very tight when I worry about forgetting my dressage test, I deeply and completely accept myself. The reminder statement is forgetting my dressage test. We could even shorten it up more than that to my dressage test or forgetting. As long as those few little words have a powerful significance to you and they're bound to that feeling. Then the next thing we do is we rate the intensity of our feeling. So we call the intensity of our feeling, the term is SUDS. SUDS is a little bit of a weird name, but it stands for subjective units of distress. But what that means is, you know, how strong is that emotion? How strong is that feeling in your body? So you want to sort of check in and give it a number. So 0 means not there, it's gone, it's been released. 4 or 5 means it's still there. It's, you know, it's not really interfering with my life right now, but it's still there. When we get up into 7 or 8, it's very strong. And when we get up into 9 or 10, you know, we're crying, we're very upset, we're extremely emotional, or we're in a lot of pain. So those are just a rough estimate of what the numbers mean, but you want to try to check in with your body and see if your subconscious will come up with a number. The reason that we have this scale is so as we progress through our tapping sessions, we check back in with our body to check our work to see where we're at. and you will see the numbers go down. Sometimes you'll see the numbers go down and then they pop back up again and then they come back down again. But the numbers give you a way to keep track of whether you're progressing with your tapping or you're stuck. Okay? If you're stuck, that's beyond the scope of what we're going to discuss tonight, because then you're in what is called psychological reversal, and you need a practitioner to help you work with that. If you're stuck, get help from somebody else that is a practitioner that knows how to deal with that. Okay, the next frame, please. Okay, so I talked a little bit about the tail end, or on the setup statement, the I love and accept ourselves. This is just a little printout. This comes from the tapping solution, and it basically explains about the importance of acceptance, because we've all heard the statement that what we resist persists. So if we're not willing to really accept ourselves with the situation, you might want to start tapping on that and then come back to the situation. The other way is just to proceed and go ahead by saying, I am where I am. Okay, because the energy will, be affected by the tapping. It just, what we're doing when we're tapping and our words is, our words are making our brain feel more comfortable and feel more relaxed, so that limbic part of our brain feels safe enough to release where it stored the energy. So obviously, it's easier to feel safe if you accept the fact that you have a problem. Next, please. Okay, so now we get down to the actual tapping protocol, the tapping of the points. So if okay, everybody can see my hands. Okay, the first tapping point, I'm just going to take my glasses off for this for demonstration purposes, is just the inside of your eyebrow here. Okay, it's just on the top of your occipital crest here. It's just on the inside, on the side of your nose. Okay, and you can tap with one finger, you can tap with 2 fingers, you can tap with 3 fingers. It doesn't really matter. And it doesn't really matter that you are that specific with the point. Tapping is extremely forgiving. So you don't need to sweat it that you actually, have to hit the perfect acupuncture point. Anywhere in the general area will do. So the first point is the inside of the eye. The next point is the side of the eye. So it's on the bone on the outside of your eye. The third point is underneath your eye. So it's just on the top of your cheekbone, below your eye. The next one is underneath your nose. Then sort of in the cleft of your chin here. And then the collarbone points. Okay? If you take your fingers and you trace your collarbones down to the V where that jugular notch in your breastbone is, and then it goes down. If you go back up to where your collarbones meet that V, and then you just go down a little bit and to either side, you'll find 2 soft, squishy spots there. And those squishy spots are your collarbone points. And then the next one is under your arm. Okay, for those of us that wear bras, it's right at the bottom of your bra strap. Basically, it's about 6 inches underneath your armpit. Okay, these are spleen points all the way down underneath your arm, so don't worry, anywhere in that general direction, you're hitting all the spleen points down there, so you're hitting the spleen meridian. And then the top of your head is the last point. Okay, some practitioners believe that you only use the top of your head for positive things, for putting in positive energy. We will be using the top of our head as the 8th point. So we will not save it just for the positive in this tapping session. Okay. When we say our setup statement, we have to say our setup statement 3 times to draw up the energy. And it's what is called a karate chop. So the karate chop, you can take the side of your hand and touch your open palm like this. And you can touch the side of your hand. And you basically want to touch between your little finger and between where your wrist joins your body. Okay? So you want to tap the side of your hand. Okay? Not that you should be doing this, but I have actually used the steering wheel on the car when I've been sitting in my car, not when the engine's running and you're driving, but when you're sitting in the car, if you need to tap, I have actually used the side of the steering wheel on the back of my hand. So, if you can't put both hands together, you can just touch something else with the back of your hand. Okay, so that's the karate chop point right there. And the little diagram says it's specifically just above that little dimple where your palm and your wrist join on the side of your hand. Okay, but anywhere along the side of your hand will do. They're all on the same meridian. Okay, so those are our tapping points. Okay, so when we tap, some of the textbooks say 7 times. So nobody really ever sits here and goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because you want to be focused on the sensations in your body, not on counting the taps. How slow you go or how fast you go is dictated basically on your personal feel. So sometimes you tap a little faster, sometimes you want to slow it down. So you tap a lot slower. So it's whatever feels right for you at the time. If you happen to miss a point, don't worry about it. Just go to the next point or go to any point in your body. It really does not matter. You do not have to follow the exact recipe all the time. What is important, though, is that you do not stop tapping. So you do not cease tapping. You want to keep tapping all the time unless you stop. When you stop, you drop the energy. So you might stop to give yourself a little rest, take a drink of water, and then you would have a new setup statement to drop the energy again. Okay? But if you're going through a process, unless you have, come to the end of what you're working on and you stop, that's good. Otherwise, keep tapping. And if you're getting very emotional, you want to keep tapping. Okay? So we're going to have our first little tapping session shortly. But before we do that, I would like to explain to you that we have an emotional helper on this call with us. Okay. So Terry Huff-Gilmore is on this call with us, and her phone number is on the screen now. Okay. If we are in a group tapping and you become very emotionally overwhelmed and very distraught, please call Terry and she will help you deal with your flooding or your emotional overwhelm. Okay, so we have Terry to keep you safe. So please feel free to call Terry if that happens to you. All right. Okay.
One thing we have to do, just, I know a lot of you, we tried to get the waivers in. I just want everybody to have a look at this screen and then open up the chat. You all know how to use chat in Zoom. I almost said Teams, sorry. But if you could just, in the chat window, please type in whether or not you agree to this consent. I know everybody tried to get it to me, but if you consent to go through with these tapping demonstrations, we have two, that you are okay with doing the tapping. Yeah, so just I consent or yes is good. If you just type it into the screen. Somehow I can't get my pull up. So yeah, we've got some consents there. Well, they're really going through. I think that's it. Oh, a couple more. Perfect. And I have to do it as well. Sorry, I sent it right to Anne Hookador. Sorry, I should have said it to everybody so you could see it. So I consented to Anne, now I consent to the group. That's great. Alrighty. So I'm gonna unshare the screen so we could put you right on the screen.
All right.
Big time. Did you want to introduce the scenario?
Yes, I do. So I thought for the first tapping session, we would have a little tapping just so that everybody goes through the process and learns the points on learning or having our first EFT session. So what I would like to do is if a couple of you could just unmute yourself and describe sort of how you feel about this EFT thing.
I'll go.
Yeah, great.
You know what? I'm open to anything, and I'm curious, and I need help with something, so I'm 100% open to trying something new. So I'm excited.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I've done it with you before, so this is a good little refresher for me that I definitely need right now. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I ask those of you that have already done it, perhaps if we could have some of the people that have never tried it?
I've never tried it. I know that the problem that I'm having in my riding is not it's not my horse's fault. He knows what he's doing. I had a really bad fall and now I cannot get over it. I can't pick up the canter without like falling to bits and just being totally terrified. And it's my fault. I got an off-track thoroughbred. He can run and I couldn't handle that. That's not his fault. So now I need to like move beyond that. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. But the question is how do you feel about the EFT? For example, does it look kind of weird? You're not sure about this?
I'm excited. It's I know Carolyn really well, and she thinks that she's the one that you should take this class. You should learn this. You would do really well with this. It'll help you. So I was sent to the door to take this clinic. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else?
Margie.
Yes.
I want to try it. I think it sounds neat. My problem will be more the staying on focus on the statement. I have the problem staying focused on one thing, so that's going to be my problem. But I think it makes sense to me.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So we've got a couple that are excited and feel open to it, and I was wondering if I could come up with one more sort of not quite so sure. Is there anybody else that's not quite so sure? No? Okay, well then we'll go with what we've got.
I'll just chime in. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
I'm nervous about it. I'm feeling nervous right now, so
okay.
I don't know why, but
all right. And can you check in with your body and see where that's coming up in your body?
Mostly just kind of like in my chest, just feeling a little bit tight in my chest, I guess, if I had to choose something.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Okay, and Sue, if we could go back to you. You want to try, but you're concerned about the focus on the statement. Where are you holding that in your body? Can you check in with your body and feel if there's anywhere that you're holding that in your body?
I'm going to say it's like the back of my neck.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going basically to start, for example, with a SUDS level of around 6, because just generally as a group, that's just the number I'm going to choose for demonstration purposes, because this is basically to demonstrate the EFT technique. Okay, so we're going to start with our setup statement. So if everybody could go to the karate chop to the back of their hand. Okay. So, even though I am curious and I need help, and I'm a little excited about learning this EFT technique, a part of me wonders if I'll be able to keep my focus on the statement. And I'm a little bit nervous about this for some reason. And I feel these feelings mostly in the back of my neck and a tightness in my chest. And I love and accept myself. So we have to say this setup statement 3 times. So even though I'm curious and I need help and I'm open to trying this EFT thing, and I'm a little excited about it, I might have trouble focusing on the statement. And I'm feeling a little bit nervous about this. Okay. So what all of you should be doing is you should be checking in with yourself, with your own truth. I'm just going to use these statements as an example, but all of you need to be checking in with yourself personally. We call this borrowing benefits. Basically, when a practitioner taps on one person, okay, and the exchange goes back and forth, everybody taps into their own issue. So everybody needs to think about their own thoughts around learning this EFT and the feelings in their body. Okay, so you're not all going to feel the same. I just took all those suggestions and put them together into a setup statement as an example. So everybody now, I'm going to say the setup statement one more time, and I want you to concentrate on your own feelings. Okay, and as we go through the points, okay, you're going to come up with your own feelings and your own thoughts and your own reminders. Okay, and I will go through using these examples, and you can focus on your own feelings. Okay, so I'm going to say this setup statement one more time. Even though I'm curious and I need help, and I am open to learning this EFT procedure, I'm a little bit excited about it. But I'm not sure that I can stay focused on the statements. And somehow I'm a little bit nervous about trying this for some reason. And I feel this in the back of my neck, and I feel it in my chest. There is some tightness in my chest. Okay? And now that you've drawn up the feeling in your body, you're just going to check in and see how strong that feeling is for you. So you're going to give it a number because this is your starting point. Okay? And then we're going to take our reminder statement. Okay? So I'm going to use excited but a little nervous with this EFT procedure. So we're going to start tapping on the points now. So on the inside of your eye, you're going to be tapping on, what is coming up for you. And you say your short statement over again. So I'm going to shorten my statement up to excited but a little nervous. So I'm going to go through the points: excited but a little nervous, side of the eye, excited, a little bit nervous, under the eye, excited, a little bit nervous, under the nose, excited, a little bit nervous, under the chin, excited, a little bit nervous, collarbone points, excited but a little bit nervous, under the arm points, excited but a little bit nervous, top of the head, excited but a little bit nervous. So that's one round. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of rounds. You don't have to say your setup statement again. Your rounds just flow continuously. Keep tapping in between talking. Excited but a little bit nervous. 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 And we'll go right into the third round. Excited but a little bit nervous. 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 Okay, go back to tapping on the side of your hand and take 3 deep breaths. So breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Okay, and then you want to check in with your body. You know, how does your body feel now? What is your SUDS level at now? Okay. And then there might be, you know, some slight adjustment to the words that pop up. So, okay. On our next round, again, we're going to do another set of rounds. Excitement, a little bit nervous. Excitement, a little bit nervous. Not sure I can focus on the statement. I'm a little bit nervous about this. I'm excited. I need help. I'm open to this. I'm a little bit excited. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I feel this in my chest. I feel this in the back of my neck. Excited. A little bit nervous. I feel this in my chest. I feel a little bit nervous. I'm not sure I can focus on the statements all the time. And I feel this in my neck. A little bit excited. I really need help and I'm open to this. I'm very excited. But I'm a little bit nervous. I feel it in my chest. Just a little bit nervous. But I'm very excited. Okay, then go back to the side of your hand and take 3 deep breaths again. Okay, all right, so we can stop now. Okay, so what did everybody notice? What are your thoughts? What are you experiencing?
I feel very tingly.
You feel very tingly, okay? The tingly is the energy releasing in your body.
Yeah, like whole body tingling, backs of thighs, like everything.
Yeah, you're experiencing a pretty strong shift.
Yay!
Anybody else got anything they want to share? Did your numbers go up? Did your numbers go down?
Numbers definitely went down for me.
Okay.
I always hold my breath for everything, and I found myself holding my breath again for that. That was disappointing. So I kept, whenever you kept saying I'm gonna lose focus, I was like breathing. So important.
Okay. Well, perhaps you need to at another time. Okay, that would be a very good issue for you to tap on, because this is obviously a behavior that you've developed in reaction to being a little bit stressed. Okay, so that would be a really good thing for you to address in the future. Okay.
I've had huge yawnings, like just keep yawning.
Yeah, well, that's a form of energy release. As a practitioner, we actually look for that.
Like I've seen it with the horses, right? When you do
Yes.
stuff with them, and my jaw is just like actually sore that I'm yawning.
Yes, and as Jennifer's brought up, actually you can use EFT for horses, but as a practitioner, the signs that we look for, yawning's one of them. Usually there's a big sigh, or the people start off with their shoulders up here, you know, and about halfway through you see the shoulders drop. So you know, you're looking for an energy shift, a lessening of the symptoms that you had when you started in your body. And then you know you're on the right track. Okay, we didn't do nearly enough rounds to clear the whole thing here, but this was just for demonstration purposes. So you get the tapping on the points. Okay.
Is it really that simple?
It's really that simple, yes. It's
How many?
It's very simple. It's not complicated.
How many rounds, like what do you look for in order to kind of know that you need to stop doing rounds?
When you have no more sensation in your body and you feel all of a sudden like a wet dish rag. You feel that you've kind of gone, so when you know, when you've lost the uptight feeling and your numbers have come down to 0, then it's completely gone. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, so I thought we'd have a second tapping session, and I thought we could have a little bit of an experiment with this. Everybody that I know of has a fence that they don't like or a jump that they don't like. Okay? For me, for the longest time, it used to be corner options. When they first brought out corners, I really didn't like corner jumps. And then one day I was walking the course at Rolex, not that I was competing, I was just walking the course. And there was a section in the course, this was quite a while ago, and you came on an angle across the laneway and made a slight adjustment. And on the side of the laneway, there was this huge big ditch, and then there was a wall of railway ties on the other side of the ditch. And this was the jump. So you were approaching on a slight angle. You had to make a slight adjustment in the 2 strides or 3 strides across the laneway and jump this massive ditch with this wall of telephone poles behind it. Every time I looked, and when I was riding myself, and there was a big open ditch with something behind it, a steeplechase fence or a wall, or for those of you that have been around long enough, the water jump in the intermediate advanced course at Checkmate, where you came around and across the slough and you jumped over the open water and over the steeplechase fence after it. Okay, I had nightmares about that fence. So I took on that belief just from walking the course at Rolex. You know, I just freaked out when I walked the course. I just went, I could never jump that. You know, and then of course, you know, what we resist persists. So, you know, a year later at Checkmate, there's that jump, right? So if I'd known how to tap then, I probably would have been a lot less worried about riding the course. So we can take on, you know, limiting beliefs and fears. It doesn't have to be that we had, you know, a trauma or a traumatic incident. You know, we can just be overfaced or overwhelmed, or put in a situation that we're not prepared for. So it doesn't have to be something really bad that happened for your mind to go, this is not safe. And your primitive mind is in charge of trying to keep your body safe. It's basically what does keep you alive as an animal. So, you know, when you put it in a situation where it says it's not safe, logic never works. Okay, so what I would like everybody to do is I would like everybody to check in, close your eyes, and to spend, let's say, 30 seconds to a minute looking at your scary fence. Okay, and then I want you to come up with where you hold that scary fence in your body. And then you need to come up with a sets number. And then I would ask one person, perhaps those of you that might be a little bit more familiar with EFT, if you would volunteer, and I will work with you, and then everybody else will work on their own scary fence. Has everybody had enough time? Does anyone wish to step forwards to be the volunteer?
Margaret, we have a hand up, but it's Business iPad Equine Peak. They've got their hand up.
Oops, that's me. Sorry, that's Monica.
Oh, sorry, Monica. It didn't have your name in it. Your hand's up. Do you need to ask a question?
No, that was from our response from the last tapping session.
Okay, sorry, it's okay. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead. There's no other hands up.
I really need somebody, please.
Oh, I will. It's Monica.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Do you need to see me? I don't know how to do that. Okay. Do you need to see me?
No, I don't. I just need your voice, actually. I mean,
okay.
Theoretically, if this was a real practice, yes, I would need to see you, but your voice is good enough for this right now. Okay.
I think I'm here. Yep. Okay. So
good.
My scariest.
Okay, so I need.
What do you need?
I need a description of your scariest fence.
My scariest fence would be anything with a massive ditch and a jump behind it, just like the one you described.
Okay.
Because I'd be afraid that if I didn't take off in the right spot, I'd crash into it. So, yeah.
Okay, and where are you holding this in your body?
I feel it in my chest. It gets really tight and my legs get wobbly.
Okay, and if you were to give this a number?
I'd give it an 8 or 9.
Okay. All right. So everybody ready to go? Even though I'm afraid of cross-country fences with a massive ditch with a jump behind it.
with a massive ditch and a jump behind it.
And I'm worried that if I didn't take off properly,
if I worry if I didn't properly,
that I would crash into it.
That I would crash into it.
And I feel this in the tightness in my chest.
I feel this in the tightness in my chest.
And my legs get wobbly.
My legs get wobbly.
And this is an 8 or 9 for me.
And this is an 8 or 9 for me.
And I love and accept myself with this problem.
And I love and accept myself with this problem.
Okay. Even though I'm afraid of cross-country fences with a massive ditch and a jump behind them.
I'm afraid of cross-country fences with a massive ditch and a fence behind them.
Because if I didn't get the takeoff right, I'd crash into it.
Because if I didn't get the takeoff right, I'd crash into it.
And I feel this tightness in my chest.
I feel this tightness in my chest.
And my legs feel all wobbly.
My legs feel all wobbly.
And this is an 8 or 9 for me.
And this is an 8 or 9 for me.
Even though my scariest fence is a massive ditch with a jump behind it.
My scariest fence is a massive ditch and a fence behind it.
And I'm afraid that if I missed the takeoff, I'd crash into it.
I'm afraid that if I missed the takeoff, I would crash into it.
And I feel this as a tightness in my chest and my wobbly legs.
And I feel this as a tightness in my chest and wobbly legs.
And this is an 8 or 9 for me.
And this is an 8 or 9 for me.
Okay, and now we need the reminder statement. So you need to come up with a few short words.
What would you call that fence? What kind of fence is it?
Well, I'd call it a massive ditch.
Okay.
With a wall behind it.
Okay.
Or ditch and wall.
Ditch and
wall would be very short, right? Ditch and wall, okay?
Ditch and wall.
All right, so eyebrow point, ditch and wall.
Ditch and wall. Ditch and wall.
Side of eye, ditch and wall.
Ditch and wall scares me.
It scares me. Under the eye, ditch and wall.
Ditch and wall scares me. I don't want to crash.
Okay, I don't want to crash. Under the nose, ditch and wall. I don't want to crash.
I don't want to crash. Ditch and wall. I don't want to crash.
Okay. Under the chin, ditch and wall. I don't want to crash.
Ditch and wall. I don't want to crash.
Collarbone points, ditch and wall. I don't want to crash.
Ditch and wall. I don't want to crash.
Under arm points, ditch and wall. I don't want to crash. Top of the head, ditch and wall. I don't want to crash. Okay. Eyebrow points, ditch and wall. I don't want to crash.
Ditch and wall. I don't want to crash.
Side of the eye, ditch and wall. I don't want to crash.
Ditch
Under
and
the
wall.
eye, ditch and wall. Don't want to crash.
Wall. I don't want to crash.
Under the nose, ditch and wall. I don't want to crash.
Ditch and wall. I don't want to crash.
Under the lips, ditch and wall. I don't want to crash. Collarbone points, ditch and wall. I don't want to crash. Underarms, ditch and wall. I don't want to crash. Top of the head, ditch and wall, I don't want to crash. I feel it in my chest.
Feel it in my chest.
Wobbly legs.
Wobbly legs.
I feel it in my chest.
I feel it in my chest.
And wobbly legs.
I feel it
in my chest.
And wobbly legs.
Wobbly legs. I feel it in my chest.
Wobbly legs.
Wobbly legs. I feel it in my chest.
And wobbly legs.
Wobbly legs. I feel it in my chest. Wobbly legs. I feel it in my chest. Wobbly legs. Feel it in my chest. Wobbly legs.
Wobbly legs.
I feel it in my chest. Wobbly legs. Okay. Tap on the karate chop point. Take a couple of deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, keep tapping and check in with the sensations in your body now and check in with your suds. Okay, can you share with me the sensations in your body, your suds, and anything else that is coming up for you at this time?
Okay, for me, it's probably gone down to about a 3. My legs don't feel so wobbly, and the tightness in my chest is, yeah, it's gone down to about a 3.
Okay. All right.
And I'll mute myself so you can hear everybody.
All right. Okay. So our next setup statement is going to go like this. Okay. Even though the massive ditch and wall is not quite so scary.
Even though the massive ditch and wall is not quite so scary.
And the tightness in my chest has decreased.
And the tightness in my chest has decreased.
And my legs are not quite so wobbly.
My legs are not quite so wobbly.
This is a 3 for me.
This is a 3 for me.
Okay. Even though the ditch and the wall are not quite so scary.
Ditch and the wall are not quite so scary.
And my chest is not quite so tight.
My chest is not quite so tight.
And my legs aren't nearly as wobbly.
My legs aren't nearly as wobbly.
This is a 3 for me now.
This is a 3 for me now.
Even though the ditch and wall are not quite so scary for me now.
Ditch and the wall are not quite so scary for me now.
My chest is not nearly as tight.
Chest is not nearly as tight.
And my legs are not quite so wobbly.
My legs are not quite so wobbly.
This is a 3 for me.
This is a 3 for me.
Okay. I row a point. Not quite so scary.
Quite so scary.
My chest is not quite as tight.
My chest is not quite as tight.
My legs are not so wobbly.
Legs are not so wobbly.
This ditch and wall
This
is
ditch
not
and
so scary for me.
not so scary for me.
The tightness in my chest is less.
The tightness in my chest is less.
My legs are not quite so wobbly.
Not quite so wobbly.
This massive ditch and wall is not so scary for me.
This massive ditch and wall is not quite so scary for me.
My chest is not quite so tight.
Chest is not quite so tight.
My legs are not quite as wobbly.
My legs are not as wobbly.
And this was a 3 for me.
And this is a 3 for me.
This massive ditch and wall.
Massive ditch and wall.
Not so scary anymore.
Not so scary anymore.
My chest is not as tight.
Chest is not as tight.
My legs are not as wobbly.
My legs are not as wobbly.
And this is a 3 for me.
And this is a 3 for me.
This ditch and wall.
Ditch and wall.
Are not nearly as scary.
Not nearly as scary.
My chest is not so tight.
Chest is not so tight.
My legs are not wobbly.
My legs are not so wobbly.
And this is a 3 for me.
This is a 3 for me.
This massive ditch and wall.
The ditch and wall.
Are not so scary for me.
So scary for me.
And this was a 3 for me.
This was a 3
Here's a
for
3
me.
for me. Okay. Go back to your karate chop point. 3 deep breaths. Okay. Check in with the ditch and wall.
It feels like a 0.
In your body. It feels like a 0.
Feels like a 0, and I can see myself sailing over it on Sebastian.
Okay. All right. So what Monica has just done for the sake of the rest of you is that she has tested herself. Okay. So I, as the practitioner, probably would have asked her to test and make sure that the work is actually resolved. I would have asked her to envision herself riding the fence. And if any of her symptoms had come up again, then we would do more rounds. Okay. All right. So, Kathleen, you're just a little bit ahead of me here. Is there anybody else that would still like to do a couple more rounds? Is there anybody else that hasn't come down? If you are a 3 or less, it is safe to leave it. If you are still more than a 3, is there anybody else that needs a couple more rounds?
I had a question. Is it normal for like you to start off feeling tense in one spot and then after you go through a few rounds, like it migrates to a new area?
Yes, it's quite common. Okay. And so your next setup statement, you would include the new area. Okay. And you would tap on that. Now, the question is whether the intensity is coming down. If it's jumping around in your body and the intensity is not coming down, then your primitive brain does not feel safe to release it, and it's avoidance. In which case, you would have to go to psychological reversal.
Okay, fortunately, it's going down. It's just going to my legs now.
Yeah, no, that's totally okay. Yeah, sometimes we have a protocol. It's called chasing the pain, and you chase the pain, you know, when you're dealing with a lot of pain, and quite often the pain migrates. It'll start off in one area and it will subside, but it will all of a sudden pop up in another area of your body, and you chase the pain. So it's quite common for it to shift to a new location. Also, sometimes, you know, if it's a deeper issue underneath it, you know, your suds will come back up again. Okay, they will go down and then they will come back up again. And then you have to tap them down again. But usually you get some sort of, we call it an intuitive hit. You get some sort of insight. When they go back up again, you have a different sensation or a slightly different thought. Okay. Is there anybody else with any other questions? No questions at all? Okay, Kathleen, we could have the last slide, please. Okay, so this is just a sheet of references. Some of the things that I talked about come from Nick Ortner's The Tapping Solution. And I've given you the page numbers. The origins came from Susan Bushell, who's an EFT trainer, from her level 1 and level 2 manual. And for those of you that are interested in pursuing certification or taking more advanced courses with your practice, Susan is an EFT International trainer. So it goes level 1, level 2, level 3, and then trainer. And then there's trainers of trainers, and then there's masters. And the masters are Gary Craig and the original 20 people that he started with. So those are the masters. So Susan Bushell's information is there. You can reach her if you're interested in pursuing more than that. You can also go to EFT International, and EFT International has got lots of films and videos. It also, similar to Equine Canada and the OEF, has a list of certified practitioners worldwide. So you can look for a practitioner in your area if you want to do some more involved work. There is the World Tapping Summit, which has just passed actually, so we have missed that. But once a year, there's 10 or 11 days of all different kinds of tapping experts on all different kinds of subjects. And they all give, basically it's an hour session with each person, what they do, how they've used EFT to help in their field of expertise. And this World Tapping Summit is free. So you can join the World Tapping Summit. You can view all the sessions. They release 3 sessions each day, and they're up for 24 hours. And then you can also buy the package if you want to have it and you want to look at it more at your leisure. And then, of course, there's myself. So, and as Jennifer brought up earlier in the session, you can use EFT for horses. I have adapted the protocols, several of the protocols, trauma protocols, to the acupuncture points on the horses. So you can learn once you are familiar and very familiar with tapping yourself, you can learn to tap on your animals. So you can look up the acupuncture points, you can look up the meridians in the animals and figure out your own tapping procedures, your own tapping protocols for animals, for cats, dogs, horses, elephants, anything, as long as you know which meridian points you're working with. Okay. Is there any other questions? Any other comments?
Hey, Margie, it's Winnie.
Yes, Winnie.
Actually, this is good because I've done this with you before, and I think for some people, the first round it can be a little bit confusing. People don't know what to expect, but as you do a couple more rounds, I felt much better. Like when Monica did the ditch, I did the downhill jump. So that really worked, and it actually, like, I could feel that I actually started going down the set level. It went. I haven't jumped a downhill jump for a long time, but still the imagery had shifted, and I could see it. Like I understand a bit better. So I think for those who've done it the first time, if you keep practicing, I think it'll be more familiar and it's easier. That's just my comments.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for me, I felt like I had felt tension in my stomach. And then actually, like after the third or fourth round, my stomach made a gurgling noise. I was like, oh, it's released the tension that was there. And then it was like my stress level went down tremendously after that. It was very interesting.
Good.
Tracy has Tracy has her hand up too.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Tracy.
Okay. Hi. I had some difficulties because I have had a problem finding a statement, and I can't tell what feelings my body was because I have certain ones all the time. So I didn't really know how to focus on anything I was feeling or thinking.
Okay. All right.
So I think what I need help is how to get that statement. Like, I was just, it's on the spot. I didn't really have an issue I wanted to work on right this moment. I have so many.
Okay. So perhaps a really good place for you to start is exactly where you are. Even though, I can't really concentrate on a specific issue right now, and I have so many feelings in my body, just accepting where you are right now would probably be a huge release for you energy-wise.
Okay.
So,
that sounds good. Thank you.
Other than that, I would strongly suggest that you seek someone to hold you safe, like a practitioner.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So
more hands are up.
Yeah, good.
We're going. I'm just going to go in order. It's like Kathy Van Every is next.
Okay, Kathy, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was really a neat experience. I tend to overthink everything, and just thinking about doing this is like I need to write down everything, and I need to read everything, and because I don't want to mess it up or mess myself up or mess up my horse if I decide to go tapping on him. Am I overthinking this now?
You are way overthinking with it. Okay. Tapping is extremely forgiving.
Okay.
Just start.
Will do.
Okay. Just start. And that's, you know, I think it was your comment earlier. Is that easy? It is that easy. You don't need to make it more complicated than it is.
Okay. I'm going to trust that.
Okay.
Thank you.
As far as tapping on your horse goes, you should not tap on your horse until you're really proficient at this.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Alexis.
When you were trying to focus on specifically like releasing tension or energy from, I think that like my physical response is like my generalized stress related physical response. So it isn't just necessarily associated with like riding or anything. Like my stress response is the same for all of the stresses. So, you know, tension behind the eyes, like short, like race through my, like I get ready for war essentially, no matter what I do. So I just wonder, like when you're looking for, you know, specific things to kind of focus your energy on when you're kind of talking your way through, is it worth like individualizing all of the, each of those stressors in order to, like, I felt great. I got a looseness through my neck and shoulders. It was lovely. But it was like focusing specifically on you know, that canter fear. But then I'm thinking to myself, other thoughts were invading, like, this is how I deal with stress in all other aspects of my life. So should I, you know,
so we call
individualize experience.
Okay, we call that an aha moment. Okay, is that you have this sort of, you know, thought that that's how you deal with stress. Okay, so what you would want to do one day is go, even though when I'm feeling stressed, you know, I always feel, and tap on that.
I see what you're saying.
Okay. Because
like use it as a holistic.
That's a learned behavior. Okay. And a behavior is also how an energy blockage manifests. It doesn't have to be pain. It can be a behavior. Okay. Right. It doesn't have to be, you know, like in your tissues, it can manifest as a behavior. For example, I'm quite sure all of us have experienced this. You know, we've been cantering to a fence and we want to jump the fence, and our, you know, like we really want to jump the fence, but our body is making the horse stop. Right?
Right.
When you don't feel confident, you know, when you don't feel good about it, you know, that primitive part of your brain is going, no, it's not safe. Okay. So you're stopping the horse, even though you want, you know, like you want to jump the fence, right? But that part of you that's trying to keep you safe is going, no. So, you know, you have to tap on where you're at. Okay. So for you, you've had a little bit of insight into how you always react to stress.
Right. Okay. Thank you. That's helpful. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's funny that you said that, because, you know, when they say you throw your heart over the fence first, I'm good at that part. Like off it goes with my arms and my shoulders and everything. So, like they just lock, and I'm pretty strong, and so I often have my horse going like, what the hell, in front of me, and I'm like, no, it's fine. But my body's saying, no, it's not.
No. So, you know, so you need to, it would actually be helpful for you if you had a practitioner, because there is a, what we call parts. You know, a part of me wants to do this, but a part of me says it's not safe for me to do this. Right? Yeah. And you need to resolve the conflict between the two of you. Mm-hmm. Okay. But you need a practitioner to do that. That's not something you can do on your own.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And I think Monica's next.
All right, Monica.
I know. Well, first of all, would you consider doing another clinic tapping on horses? I know you did.
As a matter of fact, Terry suggested that rather than bring that into this session, that perhaps that would be another session in the future.
Okay.
So, you know, if there's a significant amount enough of interest, that's not really something that we want to do online like this. It would be more like a clinic. So if there is, you know, if there is enough interest, I would certainly be willing to do that.
Okay. And my second question is, I noticed that you're recording this. How can we get a hold of the recording? Because there was all of those slides that have great information to look back on.
I would forward that question to Kathleen.
So yes, I will be putting it up on our YouTube channel. You got to give me about a week because I do some post-production editing of it, as well as like embedding the PowerPoint into it as well. So yeah, give me about a week and it will be up on our YouTube channel.
Which is?
The Ontario Venting Association on YouTube.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Okay. Is that everybody? Okay, well, I would very much like to thank Kathleen and Terry for their collaboration and for putting together this presentation and for offering me the opportunity to present EFT to more people.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful for that.
Margaret, thank you very much for this session. As I said, it was we got some hands clapping here too. It's great to do these types of things. I think you converted it nice to a virtual clinic. I know it was a little crazy, so we got the virtual clinic approach worked really, really well. Thank you. And thank you to all of you who were brave to share your fears with us and go through the tapping exercises. I wish I could share more, but I was keeping up with the technology, making sure I was there. So again, thank you very much. If you're interested in an in-person tapping clinic, please send an email to info@ontarioventing.ca. And we'll see. And in that email, just add where you're at, right? Like whereabouts you are. Like we'll try to find something local to everyone. And we'll have to wait until COVID calms down a bit before we do that. I'm going to pause the recording. Thank you again, Margaret. This was awesome.